Hi, everybody. Welcome to FNS Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, and with me, as always, my co-host and teenage son, Jackson. Say hello, Jack.
Hi, I'm building a Lego set.
He is going to literally build a Lego set as we record this podcast.
We just got back from, we met, so my grandparents, mom's parents, and then also mom's sister.
Yeah, and...
Got a grad gift. I got, so basically, to explain easily, it's Lego does these new, artwork kind of sets. So they're, like a painting frame shape.
It's almost like a mosaic of a...
Yes, a mosaic. That's what they are, mosaic sets, and the little, you just build them out of little Lego studs. And so I got a Star Wars one that's the Sith. You can do Darth Maul, Vader, or Kylo Ren.
Right.
And then my aunt must have gotten from May 1st to 5th, because I also, what I'm building is just the little, they always do now it's a promo set. Used to be a minifigure. And then these buildable droids, it's a promo set for May the 4th.
Right.
You spend so much, you get
you
a
get
thingy.
It free.
For
so your
May
aunt
4th,
got it for you.
Yes.
Yeah. So we hadn't seen this family in over a year, probably, right? I would guess. So I think they're all double vaxxed. We're single vaxxed, and we met outside.
I am single vaxxed.
We met out at a chip truck, basically.
Yeah.
And
they have a killer female
they do.
Female bacon sandwich.
Which to you, of our American listeners, is what you call back bacon, I believe. Canadian bacon. Mm-hmm. It's considered outside of Canada. We just call it pea meal bacon. So yeah, it was nice to see them, and we just kind of hung out outside. They have a dog, and
I wasn't even expecting stuff.
And they gave you gifts, yeah. So it was quite
fun.
Nice. But I don't even think I've mentioned what we're here to discuss tonight. We just
you didn't even mention that it was a bonus episode. Yeah.
Bonus episode. Finally found the time to sit and talk about Impact Wrestling's Against All Odds.
Yeah, you forgot what it was called before the.
I did.
The show.
I had to double check what it was. It is in my notes, but. So Jack's going to join me and do some Lego. I
did watch the last two matches. So.
Yeah, so he's going to hang around while I talk about the first few matches.
I'll be Legoing for most of this.
Hopefully quietly here. If you can do it on there, it'll keep it quieter. So yeah, I'm going to talk about Impact Wrestling's All Odds, which was what? Against All Odds, which was on Saturday, I think it was.
Yes. It was the night before TakeOver, so yes.
Right, so I ended up watching it, I think, a day late or something. I don't know when I finally found time to watch it.
I know I for sure watched the main event, and I think I watched the Knockouts match.
You did? Yes, you watched the Purrazzo match and the Moose Omega match.
I think I was half watching the Purrazzo match, but I did watch it, and then I know I was paying attention.
Right.
So I remember we were watching the main event outside, because I think Nate had a friend over. So,
that's right.
And the fire was on.
That's right. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we're going to talk about that right now.
Way too specific, huh?
The show opens with a tag team match with the Good Brothers versus Sami Callihan and Tommy.
It's your pay-per-view dream. The Good Brothers are opening.
The Good Brothers on the hot opener. So
with Tommy Dreamer.
The story of this is basically that Sami Callihan is slated to be Omega's next opponent.
Should Omega meet Slammiversary?
Yes, should Omega... I think so, yeah. That's the next one. Should Omega beat Moose in the main event tonight, Sami Callihan is next in line, so the Good Brothers are supposed to take him out, soften him up for Omega, basically. Sami Callihan has trouble finding partners just because of the dirtbag heel that he is, but Tommy Dreamer, it was one of those enemy of my enemy is my friends that I think they just did on AEW too, didn't they? Somebody said that exact line.
Oh, Kingston and
there you go.
With Pac and Penta.
So it's one of those situations. Dreamer agreed to help Callihan just because he also has issues with the Good Brothers and Omega and Callis. So that's how we got here. And this was... What is this? No DQ street fight. That's what it was. I knew it was one of those.
There is a big difference between a street fight and a no DQ match. How dare you?
Well, you're supposed to wear jeans with knee pads over them.
Yes.
I don't know if anyone did. I don't remember.
Yeah, that's the rules.
It's a detail I missed. I apologize. If you want to turn the podcast off now, I get it. Guy doesn't even know if they wore knee pads and jeans. I can't trust anything he says.
You thought this was a no DQ match? Yeah, but I even made I remember I did a street fight in 2K, and I even made street fight attires. You have to. You have to.
So weapons, I'm not going to get too detailed, but weapons used included a broom, a trash can lid, a street sign, a chain, cookie sheets, frying pans.
That WWE never used brooms.
And somebody took a ring bell to the crotch. I forget. It was probably Callahan, I would think. Ringing the bell while it's on his crotch was the gimmick there.
Would that hurt?
I don't know. I guess maybe not as much as just hitting him in the crotch with the bell or the mallet.
Yeah, just hit him with the bell. That's what I thought. And I was like, yeah, that would hurt. But then
so the finish to this came when the Good Brothers hit a magic killer to Dreamer through a table that actually looked pretty good. Nice. Callahan made the diving save to break the pinfall. Callahan grabbed his trusty baseball bat, did his Triple H cover the end of it with my hand.
Oh my god.
Well, I mean, he almost killed a man with it, so I'd rather he plays it safely, right?
That's true. It's not like he's a Triple H.
So then he takes out Gallows, and then Anderson with a single bat shot to the head, and Anderson ends up taking the pinfall off of the last bat shot.
Pinball.
And Callahan and Dreamer are victorious. I actually like this match more than I thought I would. I'm not a big Good Brothers fan. I'm not a big Tommy Dreamer in-ring fan at this point, but I mean, it was a fairly standard street fight with the weapons use and whatnot, but the action was pretty much nonstop. There was no real lulls. I didn't get bored. I figured that they would keep Sammy looking strong. Like, this is kind of the finish I thought would happen, because Sammy
or like something along those lines.
Right, because he's the next opponent for Omega, so he's got to stay
win or
looking
lose,
strong.
they have to make him look.
Exactly. Can't really have him losing in this.
They can't like undersell him, you know what I mean?
There was a Luke Gallows moment in this match in the
Doc
corner.
Gallows, come on.
They'd set up a big LG, actually.
Oh my, that still makes no sense.
So they had set a chair up, and they wedge it in the corner between the middle and top rope, and then you get. So he got Irish whipped into it, and it's funny because the commentary team made it sound like it was awful, like, oh, his back, blah blah, and he just walked out of the corner like nothing happened. So that was my Luke Gallows moment.
What he would? I don't think that doesn't sound like a Gallows thing to do.
It's always nice to see the Good Brothers lose after months and months of them just never putting anyone over but themselves. So I was okay with this. The Good Brothers also, it creates a little wrinkle in their story. They've fallen short of their sort of orders from Omega and Callis to take out Callahan. So we'll see where that kind of puts them.
You could still soften them up at least. I mean, in defeat.
So they may have to answer to Omega and Callis on Impact this week, which I guess is actually
obviously
tonight. Impact's tonight, right?
Oh yeah.
I won't watch it till tomorrow.
Right, but I guess obviously the goal would be for them to win.
Yeah, so not a bad opener by Impact standards. Again, kind of everything's graded on a curve. I'm comparing it to Impact in general.
Right, I don't think that'd be fair to
No.
NXT TakeOver, for example.
If this were on a TakeOver opener or AEW opener, I'd probably be annoyed. But I mean, that's how it is. For this,
you kind of do have to grade it
my expectations are lower. So
which I think is it might sound like whatever, but I think that's kind of how it has to be.
It's hard not to when you're watching all these shows, because I can't compare them. It's apples and oranges, right? The budget's different.
Right, I know you're watching Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, or you can't compare
that.
You couldn't even compare that to Impact, I don't think, right?
I've been catching up on my Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. I fell behind. Free on the Fight app, I guess. Mm-hmm. So next we get the next match is Joe Doring versus Kojima, who's in from New Japan.
Big Joe Doring versus an old man.
Yes. Well, he's 57.
He's older than Nagata then, right?
I don't know. He's not as old as Sting. That's all I know. I wasn't trying to be funny. I just know
that's a great
Sting's
comparison.
62.
Oh my, it's horrible. I think Nagato's 53. I think they said.
Could be. So in this match, we get a nice spinebuster by Doring at one point. Kojima.
Was Doring good?
He's okay. He's a hoss. He reminds me of JBL or something, right? Just a big dude.
Because is this his first solo match? I think.
Might be
in Impact.
His running crossbody, the Divide or whatever Killian Dane does. Dane, it looks really good, man.
Nice.
His offense is high impact.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a hoss. Decent, not great. It was a hard hitting match. The finishing sequence. And the bit before it were the best, and I'm going to talk about what that was in a second. The finish and the little bit before it I quite liked. So it ends up with Doring tries to hit a power bomb. Kojima escapes. Kojima hits a clothesline to the back of Doring, follows up with a cutter. Kojima winds up for his patented lariat, as the commentary team tell us, but Doring counters with a really big Death Valley driver. Nice. Doring then hits a power bomb, which is, he's been finishing people with the power bomb with wrist control, then he pulls you up for a short arm clothesline. So he hits that, but Kojima actually kicks out.
It sounds like a Walter kind of thing, I feel like.
Yeah, they're I think just trying to make Kojima look strong too, because he kicked out of what Doring's been winning with lately. But then Doring hits a huge spinning sit-out power bomb for the victory.
Oh,
so it's
like Cage did?
It kind of it took a mega finisher. He kicked out of his regular finisher, and then he hit him with a bigger one, and that did it. Mm-hmm. So I thought, Doring gets a quality win here. Violent by Design are starting to sort of build steam. I thought this was a decent hoss fight. It wasn't amazing, but it wasn't a bad match either. I maybe over-delivered. I guess I didn't know what to expect, because Doring, we haven't seen that much of him one-on-one, and Kojima I haven't seen in forever. So a decent match. I wouldn't say it was
Have you seen
great.
Kojima before?
But it wasn't bad. Yeah, Kojima was still there when I was regularly watching New Japan.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Coffee sip.
So coffee sip. Sorry, I went a long time without coffee while we were out there. We
Yeah.
then get to the match that I wanted to see the most personally, and that was the X Division #1 contenders match. So
Oh
you
yeah, I
got.
saw that there's an Ultimate X match at Slammiversary.
I had not seen that yet.
I am definitely checking that out.
So Josh Alexander is our champion right now, and he's doing the whole fighting champion. Also saying that a little thing I like is he's saying he is basically the champion in TNA Impact, because the Impact champion right now does not even belong to their company. So he's sort of saying he's representing Impact. He's doing the whole I'm a fighting champion, bring me the best competition. And honestly, this division is stacked right now. It's the most fun thing on this program. So this is a #1 contenders match. I didn't even write down who was in it. So it's Ace Austin, Trey Miguel. Who else is in there?
Come on. P. Williams?
Rohit, Petey Williams.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah,
right.
I didn't watch.
So this match, man, I'm going to get to it, but I was pretty disappointed in this. Basically, within this match, Rohit had an amazing stretch, ending with a spinning neckbreaker, a release suplex to Trey. I say it all the time. This guy's amazing now. Other companies are going to start to take notice of him, I think. I don't know when his contract's up, but he'd be a guy I would have my eye on if I'm another company. Bay hit like a torture rack hold into a neckbreaker to Rohit that looked cool. There was a 180 like double guillotine leg drop by Austin at one point that looked cool. A super destroyer to Austin, just nuts.
I feel like I saw a clip of that.
The finish came when Williams did hit that crazy super Canadian destroyer to Austin. Trey broke up the pin, hit a lightning spiral slam, which I think is maybe the page turner, I want to say.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Sure.
Because I remember I think Seidel hit it in an AEW match, and then like they called that the lightning spiral.
Because the problem is I write down what the
and
signature name
that's
is,
what
and
I
then
try
I
to do
forget.
if it's something new. I'll write like I
And then
remember
describe
like
it?
when I write like Penta hit Fear Factor, which is pump handle half Nelson. So well that I know because I remember. So Ricochet had it as like an outside finisher in 2K, and I remember like that looked cool. So that's the only reason I knew that.
My problem is I'm sure I'm gonna remember, right? And then I go from writing these notes on
Saturday,
Saturday
but then you're just like you don't
to recording on Thursday, and I don't remember. So anyways, he hits that lightning spiral slam. Madman Fulton shows up out of nowhere. Just one of those, he's suddenly in the frame. Takes out everybody but Ace Austin, obviously, as he's working with him. Then there was, I don't know, I thought it was a really lame-looking 4-man slam by Ace Fulton. He was choke slamming two guys.
Ace Fulton?
Madman Fulton. He was choke slamming two guys and then body slamming two other guys at the same time. I thought it looked super contrived and silly. And
well, it would kind of have to be if he's like slamming 4 people.
I think the evidence.
Not that that's like.
The evidence that Impact agrees is that there was not one replay of this, right? So that's generally something I notice. If it's supposed to be a huge spot and they don't replay it once, it's probably a sign that they don't think it was that great either, and I didn't. So Madman drags Ace Austin's body on top of Rohit, orders the referee to count the pinfall. The referee refuses, deems it a no contest due to Fulton's destruction. So we have a no #1 contender, and this was basically a big waste of time.
So that makes sense then.
Yeah, I was annoyed. There was some crazy action while it lasted, especially from Rohit, I thought. Although I'm a little biased because I love Rohit, so who knows. The ending was terrible. Both the spot to end it, the multiple choke slam spot, and the fact that for me, the most anticipated match in the show ended just before it really got going, I think. It was fun what they did, but it was all for nothing, right?
But they should have done more.
I thought this was a really questionable decision here. I was starting to have fun. The finish annoyed me. All of these guys were great, and I have to say, because I don't think I've mentioned, Petey Williams has looked awesome since they've added him. Like, I wasn't sure if he was just like a retro kind of fun. He's here for a couple shows, but he seems to be there for a while. He's looked really good. Like, I
remember, I think, like, when we first started, like, I remember, I think, Slammiversary, like, 2018, he was there.
Yep.
And then he was there for a bit, like, when we were going, live.
To recordings,
And, like, I think that was the last time he was there before now.
Yeah, I don't even know if he'll ever be the champion or a top contender, but he can still go in the ring. He's awesome, right? So it adds another guy to this division of people that can really, really work this style that's fun to watch. I thought it was a great job by the performers here and not great by the creative team. Like, I'm not blaming anyone in this match. They didn't make this decision, but for me to look forward to this more than anything and come out of it without any sort of resolution whatsoever, I found really annoying. It put me kind of in a bad mood. But anyways, we move on. So the next match is Rich Swann versus W. Morrissey, who is FKA
Big Cass.
Big Cass.
Who I will call him that because that's me.
So the size difference, Morrissey's been working his way towards Swan. He took out Willie Mack, who's Rich Swan's friend, on his way to face Swan. So the size difference between these two, as they're in the ring together, is
right,
just
it was like on NXT.
pretty shocking. Because Kaz is...
Raquel Gonzalez was facing... She was tagging with Kai, remember, against
yes.
Kanzaro and Carter. They're short, and she's like... Right.
Because Morrissey's big, not even like Impact big. He's big in any
wrestling
he's
federation.
Pretty tall. And
yeah.
he has put on...
Especially when he's like teaming... When he was teaming... Like, Enzo wasn't tall, right? So, like, when he's teaming with Enzo, he looks pretty big, too. I
he's
remember
huge.
The
and
intro
Swan's
was
like a light cruiserweight.
Right, and like... Enzo would say his thing, and like, Cass's thing was like... This is Big Cass, and he's 7 foot tall, and you can't teach that. Yeah.
Well, I don't think they taught him how to wrestle either along the way, but anyways, that's okay.
I thought he was always decent.
So size difference is nuts here.
East River Crossing's pretty dope, though.
Yeah, he does have a few nice moves for sure.
Yeah.
So along the way here, we get
kinda
a flip.
like Corbin. His like
yes,
finishers
he has a
good.
cool moveset, but I don't. Yeah, he's not that fun to watch overall. Flipping senton off the apron by Swan at one point. He gets booted out of midair coming off a springboard by, I keep wanting to call him Cass, Morrissey.
I do.
Morrissey's really basic, not super exciting. He has a pretty decent presence, but not enough to make up for the limitations in the ring for me. He has cut some awesome promos, to be fair, in the last few weeks, so I got to give him that. We get sort of a 450 off the apron to Morrissey on the floor. And again, I say sort of, it didn't look great. And again, no replay of that. So I think Impact agrees with me because it looked like a spot they would have replayed if it looked clean.
Right.
Then back in the ring, he does hit a clean 450. Phoenix Splash, Morrissey picks him up off a 1 count into an F5, which was really impressive. So he basically just picks him right up from the pinfall attempt and F5s him.
Nice.
Then he hits a boot to the back to counter a springboard stunner that looks cool too.
I feel like F5 is something new for him.
Yeah, it might be. And then the finish comes when Morrissey hits 2 power bombs. Swan basically defiantly flips him off in his face. Basically, Morrissey then picks him up and hits one more huge running power bomb. And Morrissey picks up the win here, not surprisingly. I thought half of this was plotting when Morrissey was in control, if I'm being honest. Even some of the moves that looked good, if you really think about it, like it was Rich Swann doing some sort of crazy springboard or a handspring or something, and then Morrissey just putting his foot up and booting him. Yeah, so it looked cool, but all the work was Swan, basically. The final few minutes were better than the rest. The finish made Morrissey look like a monster. Honestly, the power bombs looked crazy. Swan got to save a little bit of face by being like defiant after the first 2 power bombs. I think Morrissey's matches need to stay on the short side. To be honest, I see why he was in a tag team, and I think maybe that's a better fit for him because I don't think he can really carry matches at this point. So I would have, like, for me, if they could go back and make him like the heavy for Rohit or something instead of Shera, that would have been cool, and then work his way from there. But
they also could bring in Enzo.
So I wasn't a huge fan of this, but some parts of it, there were some cool moves. Just overall, not an amazing match.
They should put Enzo and Cass back in NXT. I miss them.
We then get
mostly Cass.
Tenille Dashwood versus Jordan Grace. So the storyline here is that Tenille is like a social media influencer. It's all about her, and she's looking for some reason, never been explained, desperately for tag team partners. So she's sort of been hinting she wants to be tag team partners with Rachel Ellering, who's already Jordan Grace's partner.
So she's trying to like get...
Jordan Grace has been showing signs of possibly turning heel. So when Tenille challenged Rachel to a match, finally, Jordan stepped in and took the challenge away instead. So that's what got us here. In this match, there's a World's Strongest Slam by Jordan Grace that I actually thought looked better than some of Mark Henry's World's Strongest Slams. She had a half Nelson swing and then just release. She's just swinging her around and then lets her go. It really was about Grace showcasing her dominant power at the beginning of this. Ref gets distracted by Ellering. Caleb and Tenille drag Grace off the apron to the floor. Caleb takes a selfie with Grace on the floor, which I thought was kind of funny. Dashwood hits a tarantula in the ropes at one point.
Oh, like the Tajiri thing?
Yeah. She also gets her signature running crossbody to a seated Jordan Grace in the corner, but Grace simply catches her, picks her up, and hits a fall-away slam, which
I have a
really
very
impressive.
important question.
What's that?
Did we get a Dash Woogie in this match?
No Dash Woogie.
Aw.
To my knowledge, that I remember. I'm pretty confident in that.
We got I trust you. I think you would have noted a Dash Woogie.
Running double knees, a diving back elbow, and a Vader bomb in succession by Grace.
Nice.
She's obviously a mega powerhouse, but I'm always blown away by her speed. Because you look at her and you're like, yes, this is a power lifter. No doubt she's strong, but her speed is insane. Top rope crossbody by Tenille.
I feel like that's kind of like the opposite of Hangman. Because like you wouldn't expect Hangman
He's
to be
stronger
that
than he
strong.
looks. Yes,
right,
he's
and
deceptive.
she's like faster than she looks.
Absolutely. Neckbreaker over the second rope by Tenille also. So the finish to this competitive match comes when Caleb climbs onto the apron to interfere yet again. Rachel Ellering pulls him to the floor. Grace is furious with Ellering for even getting involved. She's yelling at Ellering that she can do it by herself.
That does not make sense.
And this little distraction allows Grace to get rolled up, and Tenille gets the win. Grace and Ellering talk on the ramp as Ellering tries to de-escalate things and calm Grace down. Grace is still visibly angry. She returns to the ring, hits a Michinoku driver to Caleb before yelling some more at Rachel Ellering. And then Grace walks to the back, sort of leaving Ellering behind. So they've been doing a great job of just really baby stepping this Jordan Grace heel turn. So I don't even think it's happened yet, but they're getting really close to it. She's growing frustrated.
I don't even know why she was frustrated there, though.
And just because Ellering, she doesn't want Ellering involved. She wanted to handle this herself. And it led to her losing. So then she got really mad. So
I can understand that, but
these women did a pretty good job of telling the story of a dominant powerhouse battling like a resourceful, undersized heel who's willing to take shortcuts.
That's usually a good combination.
It is. Ellering accidentally distracting the ref and stopping Grace's momentum was a nice touch, because they can refer to that later. It adds to this whole Ellering sort of getting in the way of Grace here. Tenille underwhelmed me to start her time at Impact, but I've started to enjoy her character and in-ring stuff a bit more lately, so that is really nice. This was one of the better non-title knockout matches I've seen lately, I would say. I thought good work by both women here. Grace's story continues to move really slowly, which I prefer to things
Was it better than the
moving
non-title women's match at TakeOver, would you say?
Yes, it was. I think so.
Interesting.
We then get a Brian Myers and Sam Beal. So Myers' new thing is he's the most professional, and he's giving these seminars basically to Sam Beal, who's a new wrestler that's
they must like it if they're giving him one on the pay-per-view, right?
Been trained by I think it's in, although I mean they have 9 matches here. One of my complaints is like, if you're gonna pack 9 matches on here, stop doing segments as well. I think that's a complaint I have later. So for this one, it's just Myers sort of mentoring Beal in a heel way. He asks Beal what he's learned so far. Beal says that the best way to learn is to not do it yourself, but to poke holes in whatever everyone else is doing, and this makes Myers proud. More advice for Myers, but Jake something tells Beal that he should do the opposite of whatever Myers says. Myers says not to listen to a guy not even booked on the show. Ooh, although Myers isn't either. And Jake gets angry and implies that he and Myers should have a match. Myers tells...
on the show?
I don't. Just in general, I think. Oh. Myers tells Beal to write this down. Don't take the bait. And then they walk away, which I thought was pretty cool, right? This is... Clearly, this guy's trying to bait me into a match that I don't want to have, so I'm just going to say no. So I've liked these segments. I like this one, too. I think Myers is perfectly cast as this like old school heel trying to mentor a younger guy. Good segment.
Just kind of like following along.
Yeah, he's just kind of so far blindly following him at this point. It's a good segment, but I have a feeling, and I was right, that this pay-per-view would be long and that this could have been saved for TV. And I still, now knowing the full pay-per-view, I would still agree with that opinion I had. We then get knockouts tag team match, which is Susan and Kimberly Grown versus Fire and Flava, who I love.
Is there any other teams really?
That's part of the problem, I think.
They split Havoc and Nevaeh.
There's not a lot of.
Weren't they the only other team? I think. Right?
I think one of the only other legit, like actual functioning tag teams. Yes.
Right.
So this one I'm not really looking forward to. Susan's basically playing a character that doesn't really know how to wrestle.
Kind of like remember Rebel had the match like a little while ago?
Susan's now starting to do a little bit more wrestling, but I mean, when you keep putting her in wrestling matches and her gimmick is she doesn't know how to wrestle, it's not the most fun thing to watch, I'm not going to lie. And Kimberly is generally used almost as enhancement talent or very low tier knockouts division, so she doesn't do a lot for me either. They haven't done much to earn this title shot other than exist as a tag team, basically, I've said. So notable stuff.
I guess that's the requirement.
Kimberly tweaks her knee so Susan can interfere, stop Fire and Flava's momentum as the ref checks on her. Susan still acts mostly like she can't wrestle, spends a lot of her time yelling in an angry character. She's like playing a Karen character. I kind of find this a waste of her abilities. Either of her other 2 personalities are much more interesting. I remember when we were there.
Su Young's awesome.
Su Young's cool.
I kept trying to get a high five from one of the Undead Bridesmaids.
Susie's really interesting.
Yeah, I never got a high five from the Undead Bridesmaids.
No, they ignored you.
That sucks.
A powerbomb countered into a Hurricane Rana by Tasha Steelz. Nice super kick by Hogan to Susan. Hogan hits her running drop kicks that I think always look good, where she basically does a lap of the ring and just fires in on a drop kick
Like
to someone sitting in the
corner?
corner. Yeah. We get a side slam leg drop combo from Lee and Susan. Superplex by Susan to Steels. Top rope senton by Lee. The finish comes when Hogan hits Susan with a fisherman's neckbreaker. Steels climbs the corner for a frog splash, but she notices Lee coming to save Susan, so she calls off the frog splash, hits a missile drop kick to take Lee out of the ring. Then she climbs back up, hits her frog splash on Susan for the win, and Fire and Flava, rightfully in my opinion, retain in this match. This match as well over-delivered for me. There was little chance the title was going to change hands, I thought, but a pretty decent match overall. Fire and Flava continue to rule this division as they should. They're by far the most entertaining.
It's weird because it feels even more like, just from the sounds of things, like even more barren than WWE's tag division, which
when we started recording this podcast, every knockout in the company was paired up with somebody. So I was like, this could be amazing.
I know you don't like them, but I think it would almost be worth bringing C-Stars, at least like a team, and their baby faces to go against Fire and Flava.
I want the Iconics to show up.
I want them
even though they're not amazing workers.
I do want them in AEW, but I feel like they are needed in Impact.
They would fit really well, I think.
You know what I mean? Like, I feel like they would be good in AEW, but I think they're needed here. Yep. You know what I mean?
So Fire and Flava are getting a lot better in the ring. They're entertaining as characters, and there really aren't, like we're saying right now, any established tag teams around to challenge them. They need to beef up this division. It feels like they brought these titles in and then just decimated the division somehow through people leaving and through them deciding to break teams up. So I'm not quite sure this was the best long-range planning they've ever done, but who am I to say? We then go back to another tag team match. This is Violent by Design, who are the tag team champions right now.
And this is representing Rhino and Diener,
That's right. So they're sort of Freebird rulesing it here, where they're switching up who is defending. So it is Diener and Rhino versus Decay, who's made up of Crazy Steve and Black Taurus.
Woo!
So Steve and Diener on opposite teams here have sort of had issues lately. They were both trained by Eric Young at one point, and there's some storyline issues because Young chose Diener to be in his faction, sort of ignoring Crazy Steve. Young is currently injured. Doring had a match tonight, so Diener gets his chance here, as they are using the Freebird rules, as we mentioned. So a few notes from this. Taurus' combination of speed and power is just crazy. Like, I want this guy to get more time, more involvement, more wins. I don't know. I think this guy's awesome.
More exposure, perhaps?
And he's just kind of a new, I was going to say a new face, but we don't really see his face.
I think he's in Mexico.
He's in a giant bull
He's like
match.
a new face to the, like,
I know that.
North America.
To North America, yeah.
Yeah.
Eric Young's involved at times, giving advice as the coach on the outside. We get rapid corner offense by Taurus to Rhino. Huge backbreaker by Taurus to Diener. Second rope pedigree by Crazy Steve that looked pretty cool, sort of twisting.
Oh, like a
second
Pepsi
rope.
plunge.
Yeah, I guess.
Like CM Punk?
Pop-up Samoan drop by Taurus always looks good. So Decay's firmly in control near the finish when Rhino breaks up a pin attempt on Diener. Taurus goes for a high-risk move to Rhino, but Taurus tweaks his knee, landing on the floor. Steve's then in control of Diener. Rhino attacks Steve's knee as the ref is distracted by Eric Young. This causes Steve to hit his head on the turnbuckle. Diener pounces, hits a DDT, and Violent by Design pick up the win
DDT?
and retain their titles. I believe that is correct. This was a pretty short standard tag team match. I'm really intrigued by Taurus. He's really fun to watch, but the other three pretty much are what they are for Impact at this point. The tag team belts seem to have lost a bit of prestige. I hate to say it, since they've been taken away from
the North.
That too, and then the Finn Juice Good Brothers situation seemed a little more big time than this as well, right? Like two teams that are
kind
of international stars.
Whether you like
right,
the Good
whether I
Brothers
like them or not, they're higher profile teams for sure. So this wasn't bad, but it dragged a little bit at times. Did not love this match. We then get a Macklin promo, FKA Steve Cutler, who, remember, I was like, he's dating someone in Impact, I know, and it turns out it's Deonna Purrazzo. Dating, fiance, married, I don't know. They're together, let's say.
Yeah,
they are an item, as my mom would say. So he talks about torture being about time and not pain. He's had nothing but time recently, I think a reference to being released by WWE, but it's forced him to learn who he is after burying it deep down, and it's time to meet Mr. Mayhem. I think that's his own nickname. I actually find these promos kind of interesting. He seems to be referring to his time in the military, as well as his time sort of under contract in WWE, where he did almost nothing for months, I think, right? The intensity of his promos is really good, so I hope it translates to his in-ring work, because at this point, I'm interested in him, so that's complimentary. We then get Deonna Purrazzo versus Rosemary for the Knockouts title, and I don't think I'm missing any matches. Remember last time I did it?
Oh yeah,
and
you missed like the last 3.
So I think I'm covering all of them. If not, I apologize, but I think I took notes on all of them this time, right as I was watching it instead of waiting for later.
And this is where I kind of start watching.
Yes. So Purrazzo has had a long, dominant reign. At this point, I don't really see any other knockout being positioned to realistically challenge her. Like, nobody's in her league.
It probably feels longer than it was. Remember, there was the weird bit where Su Yung broke it up?
Yes.
And then, because Kylie Ray.
So Rosemary is a decent competitor, but going into this, would have been shocked if Purrazzo didn't retain. I just don't feel like anybody's on Purrazzo's
kind of like you were saying
level.
about the people in the tag match, like, she is kind of what she is. Like, she's in her spot.
Exactly.
She has her spot set.
We know what she is in Impact. I think the only person I can see
unless she makes, like, a really big change, I feel like. You know what I mean?
They could possibly build Grace into a contender again, but again, it looks like she's going heel. Or maybe Tenille, I guess, if she keeps impressing me. But other than that, I don't see a lot of competition.
Isn't she also kind of heel? Like, it's like...
She is.
Right.
So there'd have to be some sort of shift by one of them, probably. Mm-hmm. So we get a wing clipper. I don't know what Rosemary calls it at one point. The Venus de Milo by Purrazzo at one point. That's like the double armbar where she just bends it back behind them. Lots of arm work by Purrazzo as usual. I love it. She just immediately is attacking that arm any chance she can to set up her finisher. Her finishing pile driver looks really cool, I thought. So near the end, Purrazzo
she won with that.
Takes Rosemary down, removes her knee brace. Purrazzo looks like she might use it as a weapon, but the referee threatens her with a DQ.
That I remember.
And I'm not sure why heel Deonna would really care, because she's going to retain even if she gets DQ'd, right? So I don't know if there was a bit of a miss there, but it's okay. Purrazzo then lands a pump kick, leading to Rosemary doing the Kane sort of sit-up gimmick to fire up for a spear. Rosemary hoists Purrazzo into the fireman's carry position, but Purrazzo escapes, kicks Rosemary's now un-knee-braced knee, hits the Gotch piledriver for her victory to retain her title as well. So quite a bit of title retaining going on so far in this one.
Yeah, I think after this, they said it's a night of retention.
The retention night. This match was fine. I love Purrazzo constantly attacking people's arms to set up her submission finishers. I also love that she has multiple finishing options. I think I've seen her finish a match at least 3 different ways, maybe more.
Armbar, Venus de
the
Milo.
double, and then this. The match was nothing special. It's another strong defense by Purrazzo against an opponent that pretty much...
I don't really remember much of it, but it was good for what I remember.
Yeah, I mean, Rosemary didn't really have a chance. It's been that way for over a year now, I guess. They really need to build somebody else into a legit challenger. Mm-hmm. Purrazzo's an amazing talent. I just wish she could have a rival that they can have like a series of amazing matches
and a bitter feud. AEW, of course, she seems good, right? So.
Yeah, she's good. She's really talented. Then we get the main event, which is Moose versus Kenny Omega
which is taking place in Daly's place.
Right, Impact World Championship held in Daly's place.
I
recorded
would like to say
earlier.
How freaky it was to see like the AEW Trons and whatnot, and like just as like the Impact Tron designs and whatever.
Yep.
And it's weird because in on AEW recently they were in Daly's, like they had fans, but they went back to the stage they've been using in like kind of the non-fan era or the partial fan era.
Yes.
And so here they had like the diagonal ramp again. So I'm almost wondering if it was like taped like
it was
week.
It was.
Right?
It was recorded a while before.
Right.
Yeah.
So you know how like so they have the diagonal ramp, and so you know that they have like the section of fans under the Tron kind of. There wasn't fans there, so I was like, is there no fans? But there was. Kind of fans.
There were, yep. So this is the big match where Omega's been sort of touring the world, winning belts all over the place. I don't know, what does he have, 5 now?
4.
4 belts?
Well, 4 belts, 3 championships, because I think
right.
the Impact and TNA ones are kind of like a unified title deal.
So he's obviously not an Impact contracted employee, so this is the story of Moose sort of representing Impact, trying to get their most prestigious belt back. And Omega just is the jerky heel. It's kind of an odd dynamic because Moose is a mega heel as well, and so is Kenny Omega, so that's a little bit of an issue coming into this, but I was really looking forward to this match. I was hoping it would be awesome, so let's talk about it. The story of this match seems to be, for some reason, that Moose is just too big for the one-winged angel, even though, I mean, I've seen Kenny Omega hit it on bigger people
like
before.
Archer.
So
but he did get assisted, I guess.
A bit of a disconnect there for me, but that's the story they want to tell. That's fine. We get a graceful Omega dive over the top to Moose. Moose hits an impressive kip up, then immediately a standing moonsault for a guy, 6'6", 270 or whatever he is pretty crazy. Outside the ring, You remember this spot, I know. Moose sprints to hit a high cross body. Omega moves, and Moose went flying and knocked over an entire row of chairs.
Oh, right.
Right?
Yeah.
So this sort of injures his arm, and then that becomes a spot for Omega to
Thought
target,
it was,
obviously.
Odd, though, that the whole row
because
just
they're all chained
goes
together.
down perfectly. Oh, okay. Well, that's weird still.
Well, it could be a few things. One, it keeps them organized, and two, sometimes, like, there was a basketball coach, they started chaining them all together on the sidelines because he used to throw chairs. Bobby Knight, Indiana Hoosiers coach. Anyways, Moose counters a triangle at one point with the power bomb. The ref gets involved to check on Moose's shoulder as he's really selling it since going over into the crowd there, or not the crowd, the chairs. And Omega hits a V-trigger sort of as the ref's checking on him. Moose hits his sudden top rope Spanish fly at one point that looks cool.
Yep.
The finish, just moving into that, involved a referee bump and outside interference. Moose charges for a spear. Omega pulls the referee away. Then the Young Bucks run in, super kick Moose before hitting a
Making
BTE
their Impact
trigger.
Wrestling debut.
That's right. No,
Really?
they've worked for Impact before.
Oh, well,
How dare you?
No, that was Generation Me. I don't know what
Right,
you're talking
that's
about.
right. Which is kind of the idea of the playing similar characters to now. The idea of like they're self-absorbed, young
Yeah, but
people
that was
sort of thing.
whatever their name.
Anyways, the Bucks then
The
help
Young Bucks debut.
Omega hoist Moose up onto Omega's shoulders.
Right, which is that's what they did with Archer.
And Omega hits the one-winged angel, and as we know, nobody ever, except Kota Ibushi, ever kicked out of the one-winged angel.
I didn't know that. I googled it, so now I
So
remember.
Kenneth Omega wins and retains his championship. This match was good. I didn't think it was great, and I didn't think it was one of Kenny's stronger main events.
I was expecting a little more. Well.
Agree. The match was slow at times. There wasn't as much drama as I'd hoped for, right? I wanted this to be like...
It didn't have quite the big fight feel you would have expected.
No. And I really like Moose, so I wanted this to be his like star-making performance, right? That Omega's going to elevate him. He's going to look amazing, and he can sort of live
Which usually Omega's really good at.
Yeah, and it's sort of he can live off of this match for a while, right? I don't think it was that. He looked good at times, meaning Moose.
I saw something that people said that he got jobbed out, which I thought was like, what?
The finish I wasn't a huge fan of. Moose looked good at times, but he's not on Omega's level. Not that I thought this was Omega's best effort either, but I think he still looked good. I feel like the second half of this picked up. The finish felt a little bit lazy to me. I don't know, just you built this up and built this up and built this up.
Strong.
And it, I guess, but I don't know.
And then maybe D'Amore can be like, and your guys did that or at your place, and we're gonna have a rematch at our place. And
maybe it took away a little bit for me, the finish. I think it was a good match, but I was hoping for better. I was hoping for this was like people were gonna talk about this and be like, oh, maybe we should check Impact out because that Moose guy's pretty amazing. So I was somewhat disappointed in this. I don't know. What did you think? Any disagreement with that?
No, I think that's pretty fair. Like, it was good. I think
like it held your interest.
It did, but like
you were never like.
Oh, like
right, when we were watching the five-way NXT,
right? That like held your interest and like kept you entertained. This one like kept your interest and like it was good enough. Like I think for Impact it was pretty good, but like I was hoping for better.
Like it was entertaining enough, but I was hoping to be like really into it.
Mm-hmm.
So overall, this was a really strange show for me to talk about and rate because it's kind of like the matches that I really wanted to see under-delivered, like the knockout title, the main event, and the X Division match. But the matches I wasn't looking forward to kind of over-delivered a little bit, right? The ones I thought were going to be awesome were only like good to the X Division one just disappointed me. And then the ones that I thought weren't going to be good were pretty good. So it didn't look like a strong pay-per-view on paper. Impact could definitely cut back on some matches, I think, especially since they have pay-per-views or whatever, specials, whatever they want to call it, like all the time.
Right.
So why not just do 5 matches on these little ones, like TakeOver kind of?
Like TakeOver, which is only like 5 a year.
That formula works for me really well. But this was an okay but a long watch. I'm going to give it a B. And sadly, there's nothing here that I would say you need to go out and watch because I was really hoping that I was going to sit down here and say, like, listen, man, you guys might not watch Impact. You got to go watch the X Division contender match. You got to go watch the main event. But I don't feel that way about either of those. So I'm a little bit disappointed. A B, even possibly a B minus, but I said a B, so I'll stick to it. A little bit of a disappointing show and quite long, especially compared to like a TakeOver. But so yeah, the matches I didn't really want to see were okay, and the ones I really wanted to see disappointed me, I guess, in a nutshell.
Not great.
And that's how I felt. So yeah, that's about it for me. I don't know. Do you have anything to add?
No.
So I'll check out Impact, probably get to it tomorrow. I don't usually watch it on Thursday night. I wait till the next morning. We'll see where all of these stories go, if
and
anywhere.
Don't forget, Dynamite is Saturday, so we'll have a bonus episode.
No, I think it's Friday. I just heard it was Friday again this week.
Really?
But I'm not sure.
Well,
we'll have to double check.
Okay, as far as I know, it's Saturday. If it's Saturday, there will be a bonus episode. If it's Friday,
it'll be
part of the main show as usual.
Yep, so episode, 48, I think? Or 9?
40, almost 50.
49? 49? Anyways, Saturday.
Once we get to 52, that'll be a full year.
That is correct.
We gotta do something.
So if you're new to listening to us, we appreciate you joining us. We do our main show, flagship, I like to call it, so I sound like Vince McMahon, is on Saturdays, where we talk about NXT, AEW Dynamite, Impact Wrestling's weekly show. What else do we do?
I pick a match.
Wrestling trivia, a rewind match of any era, any company of Jack's choosing. News and rumors, just usually 2 to 3 hours of us just chatting about a whole bunch of different wrestling stuff. So if you'd like to check that out,
did we mention wrestling figures?
We appreciate. Oh yeah, a segment on wrestling figures, what's new in the world of wrestling figures. So if any or all of that interests you, we'd love for you to check us out. Feedback we're always looking for. Our email's fnswrestling@gmail.com. Instagram, FNS_wrestling_podcast.
Yeah.
Or if you're listening to us on YouTube, if you're one of the very few people that... It's almost to the point where I'm like, why do I keep putting it on YouTube? People don't go to YouTube to... I know, I still will.
I mean, if
it doesn't take much.
Yep.
If you leave a comment there, I'll get back to you no matter how you contact us. We always appreciate feedback. I think I'm going to wrap it up because we're going to be back here in a couple days for hours talking about more wrestling.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll see you back here on Saturday. And until then, take care.
Peace.